Hey, Clean Nation, good to see you. We are, Lindsay and I are here answering questions as we do every week. If you're joining us on the podcast and want to get it on the live, just join our Facebook group. It's free. We go live in that Facebook group, Grow My Cleaning Company. Just search it on Facebook. You'll see us. That said, Lindsay, who's up? How can I help? Hit us with a question or the theme
Yeah,
if you like.
yeah, the theme. Well, it originally started, Mike, as work less and get paid more. But the question that really got to everyone was, what's the one thing about scaling your cleaning business that's keeping you up at night?
Ooh, I like that one. I'm guessing that's going to come up with some solid questions. So talk to me. What do we got?
All right, first, Kimberly in the Facebook group said what's keeping her up at night is managing the business side, paying taxes, doing payroll, all that just feels so overwhelming to her. Mike, let's give her some advice so she can get some sleep.
Yes, ma'am. So I'll give you a little bit of encouragement, Kimberly. Um, God willing, you're younger than I am. And if you're just starting, you probably started younger. So when I was young and starting this stuff, that was a real thing, like filing your 941s, your 945s, and um, taxes. It was a lot. What I found is pay people that are really just good at that stuff. So there's two parts. One is just pay them, and two is, well, I can't afford it. So we'll start with the paying of them. The two things that you mentioned that can be overwhelming if you try and do it on your own is payroll. And payroll, if you try and do it on your own, that's crazy. It is it because literally in the States, I don't know what it is in Canada and so the other places we coach, but you've got your like 941s, your 945s, you can file stuff monthly and quarterly, your W3s at the end of the year. And the only people worse to get in sideways with than IRS would be our friends at the well, maybe the sales tax people, they're pretty bad. But payroll tax, they will shut your crap down and throw you in jail. Like it is for sure. So the good news is, I don't want to freak anyone out. Just pay a payroll company. Like we have a lady, Megan at ADP, that we recommend most of our clients to. They're experts at it. They're really good. It's a massive company. If they make a mistake and there's a fee or a fine or a late thing, they're just going to make you right. And I don't know, I haven't checked their prices, so I'm not quoting, but it can't be more than for, most of us that have, anywhere from 1 to 30, 40, 50 employees, payroll might be anywhere from $100 to $200 per payroll. Like it's very reasonable. And our clients should be paying for this stuff, right? Like there's margin. You have to make sure you're charging the business to do stuff like pay someone to do your payroll, have insurance, like big boy and big girl stuff. So, and if you want to be a real business, that's how you do it. And if you want to just be like, hey, I'm a guy who cleans, then you don't need to do payroll. You can just do all that on your own. So pay someone on the payroll. What was the other one we talked about? That was the overwhelming. Oh, taxes. Same thing for the taxes. Um, Find a CPA. And a lot of people like get confused between accountants and CPAs. Accountants would be another word for bookkeepers. They just kind of enter data into your books. Your CPA or CA, I think in Canada would be certified accountant or certified public accountant. These are people that are they have the legal right to file taxes on your behalf. Just keep in mind the accountant is going to enter the data. So you've got information you need to run your company, right? What are my costs of goods sold? What are my expenses? What are my profit? It's going to be different. Your CPA just cares about like assets and they're just trying to fill out a form. So oftentimes your CPA is not going to probably shouldn't be your accountant, and your accountant certainly shouldn't be your CPA. So don't go to your CPA for business advice. They're more just here's how to file taxes. And a decent CPA might be anywhere from $500 a year, right? Because you only have to file your taxes once a year, to 2, 3, 4 grand, unless you get into a pretty complex tax situation. And if you're in that situation, you probably have the profit and money to afford them. So if payroll is say 2 or 3 grand a year and taxes are 2 or 3 grand a year, for 5 grand a year for a whole company, you can solve all that problem. So I guess what I'm saying, and I've said this before, Kimberly, if you have a problem that requires money and you have money, you don't have a problem. So and if you don't have the money, then raise prices. You should charge enough in your company. Like you shouldn't pay for this personally. Your clients should understand that there's taxes and all this is involved, and it's just part of the fee that they pay. So Kimberly, give yourself a break. Yes, if you're trying to do your own taxes and your own payroll, it will get overwhelming. Pay someone. There's experts that are really, really good at taxes, but they would get overwhelmed by cleaning. That's why you're a good service and they're a good service. Let them pay you to do your stuff. You pay them. Hopefully that helps, Kimberly.
All right, on to the next questions. We had a lot of people write in on Facebook and mention that always finding the right employees are always a problem. But Laura May, I think she succinctly said it very well. She said, employee retention and hiring the right candidates. Most applicants want an unreasonably hourly wage and the ability to tell me when they think they should work, all while thinking the job doesn't require much work.
Man, that is Laura May. That is, Lindsay and I both coach you guys all day, every day. And so we know what your pains are and what your frustrations are. And I think that was really, really well articulated. As with many good questions, sometimes there's 3 or 4 questions packed into one. So let me see if I can unpack and deal with these one by one. So I'm just going to start. Lindsay emailed me this one because I have to read it because there's like 5 questions there. I want to make sure I get them all. So she starts by saying employee retention and hiring the right candidates. That's 2 questions right there. So we'll start with hiring the right candidates, because if you hire the right candidates and you do a good job onboarding and have a good experience, your retention is going to be high. I'm still going to come to retention, but hiring the right candidates, a big problem most of us have is a nasty combination of standards too low because we don't have enough candidates available, right? So I always use dating examples because most of us get it. And it's a little more fun than business. If I get to go on 3 dates in my whole life and I very much want to get married, the standards I'm going to have for a wife are going to be very, very low, right? Because I have to get married, I want to get married, and I only get 3 opportunities. I kind of take what I get, and I hope a lot of prayer and sweat going into that one. But if I go on 3,000 dates, and God forbid it takes that many to find a wife, but say I do, the chances of my standards go way up, way, way up. Because the chance of me finding a good spouse out of 3,000 dates, especially if I have some sort of standards, they're in an age range, they're female, they're unmarried, like they want to be married, just general basic stuff. The chances I get someone, yeah, it works. So everyone gets that in dating. But when we go to hiring, we'll put it on an ad and we might get 100 applicants. And that's plenty to hire. You should be able to hire a good applicant out of 40 or 50. But the problem is, because we don't have a good system to funnel those applicants through, we personally try to call them. And we get exhausted after like 20 calls because they're all knuckleheads and it's worried. So we throw the 80 in the garbage, but we need those 80, right? It might take 40 or 50 to get a good hire. We call 17 or however many it is before we get exhausted. And those 17, maybe we book 6 interviews. And those 6 interviews, maybe 3 show up. And the likelihood of being a good hire in that 3 is low, right? And because it was so painful to get the 100 and call the 20 and throw them away and set up the 7 interviews, but only 3 showed up. And because it's so headache, you're like, forget it, I'm just out. So we kind of got to unwind that employee hiring and retention into layers. First layer is we don't get the good employees because we don't have enough swings, right? We have too small of a pool. We have too small of a pool because the system that we have set up to sift and sort is too difficult. Like what we coach is have an automated follow-up system with applicants to invite them to a group interview. And even though we coach, you set up an automated, you literally don't have to do a darn thing. People say, I still look at this, I can look at the resume, and they make it harder than it needs to be. And the reality is Lindsay might have a great resume and she doesn't show up. So what does it matter how good her resume is? She doesn't show up. She doesn't show up. She might be illiterate, as she is, or drunk, as she also is. And her resume is terrible. I'm being a little facetious, illiterate and drunk, but maybe writing isn't a skill set that she's good at, right? But I don't need someone to write. I need someone to clean. And she shows up and she's well-spoken and God willing, she smells good. And she looks like, yes, I would send this woman into a home. And I'm like, she's just a kind person. And I feel like she works hard. And I might have missed her because she had a bad resume. And I might have spent a lot of time getting hopeful about other Lindsay who never even showed up. What's it matter? So you've got to have enough bites at the apple to get a good employee and to have standards that are high enough. And to get enough bites at the apple, you have to have a system that's a bit automated that doesn't make you crazy, that can run ideally without you. We actually train you to have your cleaners hire cleaners. So that's how you handle the right candidates. The employee retention is just hiring people that are a good fit. So that kind of ties into the back end of the question, which is most applicants want an unreasonable hourly wage. Fine, don't hire them. Now, here's the key. Most people that we say will be dishonest, like everybody wants an unreasonable wage, but that's not the truth. That's not the truth at all. And I like Laura May's question. Was it Laura May? Yeah. I like Laura May's question, who said most applicants want an unreasonable hourly. That's great. If you go on Indeed right now, there might be 30,000 people looking for a job in your area. So even if most of them say that's 30,000 out of 31,000 want an unreasonable, fine, that's 1,000 to choose from. That's plenty of dates to go on to find somebody. So it's okay if most people want unreasonable hourly wage, schedule that doesn't work for you want, or late, that's fine. You only need like 3 hires this month. So even if you get 100, 150 applicants, you'll get the 3 hires. And even if those 150 applicants, only 50 or want to work for reasonable wage and whatever, you can still find 3 good ones. So almost all the solutions are, or almost all the problems stem from not enough bites at the apple because you don't have a system that gives you enough opportunities without making you crazy. And when it comes to retention, that really has to do with doing everything based on your core values top to bottom, right? So if you're just hiring, like, we give you you can't compete with other jobs because hard wages for not a ton of money, they can always go work for Chick-fil-A, right? Like, which is also not a ton of money and kind of a lot of work. So you have to create an experience that they like, which is based on culture, how they experience your business, which is based on your core values. So if you're clear on your core values, you communicate those right at the beginning in the job description, all the way through your weekly meetings, monthly parties, quarterly reviews, your onboarding. The right people are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is, my last job didn't even learn my name until I'd been there for 2 months. These people know me and they care about me. These are my people. And if you do it right, the people that are not a good fit won't even get in because they'll see your ad and go, this doesn't sound like me. So the getting good employees is just having a system that brings you enough applicants in a way that doesn't drive you crazy. The retention is just making sure you do it based on your core values and you build a culture that is really who you are, and you do it right off the bat from the hiring ad all the way through the hiring process. So the people that aren't a fit leave before they get hired, and the people that are a fit see that you've got something special. Yeah. And I guess the last concept that we touched on is, I want 40 hours a week, and we coach you to hire 15, 20, 25. I need an unreasonable amount. It's fine if 80% of the people want that. 20% is more than enough than you need. So don't focus on the most who don't want what you want. Focus on the most women I date wouldn't be a good marriage partner. I don't go, well, I guess I'll just stay single because most of the women I date aren't good fits. Like, well, I only need one. So don't worry about the people that aren't a fit. Just focus on the ones that are. Mike Camping here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information. I just wish I could actually get it implemented, and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge, and we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. Lindsay, any questions or feedback, or are you ready for another one? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I wanted to go into a comment I saw on the post, but I think you might have something to say about it. And it was kind of funny, but Angie on Facebook said, what's keeping her late up at night? Freaking Airbnbs. She said, did I empty the dishwasher? Did I take out the dryer? Did I do this? Did I do that? She says things like when you were a server and you wake up in the middle of the night and holler, I forgot the table at the table 12's ranch dressing. So sounds like the Airbnbs are stressing her out a bit. Any advice there?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Lindsay, because foundationally, just like we talked about on the employee side, if I get someone that's a wrong fit, we're just going to be stressed, right? If Lindsay doesn't kind of believe and dig the things I dig, and I'm constantly trying to squish her circle into my square kind of spot, and she's constantly feeling like I'm trying to squish her in a way she doesn't fit, she's going to resent me. I'm going to probably not dig her so much. Let's just find, like, I got a square situation. She's a square lady. Let's hold hands and skip together, right? So it doesn't mean if we don't get along, she's a bad fit or anything. It just means she's maybe not best aligned with where I'm trying to go. And just if she doesn't pick up my vibe, doesn't mean I'm a bad boss and no one wants to work with me. It just means, the kind of party she wants to attend is not the party I'm throwing. It's fine. Very much the same with customers, right? There are some that I would argue anything one time, move in, move out, post construction, all that stuff. or just a random one-time clean is very, very hard to build a business. You can make a buck today, but to really build a business that's scalable, repeatable, dependable, doesn't require you to be there all the time, that you could sell. You need really the one time's no good. So aside from the one time and the recurring, there's commercial, there's recurring residential, there's Airbnb or short-term rentals, STRs. And the STRs are not my favorite, but they are recurring. So they kind of make it into the party. If I was going to start a cleaning company, I just wouldn't do it for exactly what you said. I don't want to deal with the laundry. There's kind of some time constraints, like, oh my gosh, the family's checking in at 4 and the other one didn't get out till like, just, it's fine. It's just not my vibe. That said, there's lots of clients that we have that are really, really good with those. So if Angie, they're driving you nuts and they're just not for you, it's okay to give yourself permission to be like, this isn't who I want, right? And pick a client. I don't say it's a better client, but just a better client for what you want. So foundationally, they just may not be for you, right? Because if you're like, I don't want to do laundry, I don't have to do dishes, I don't want to have the standard of people, new, different, because like with a regular residential, you know who you're getting. If I'm cleaning Lindsay's home every 2 weeks, I kind of know what she wants, I know what she likes. Ideally, I know she's not a crazy lady. It's fine. But if I'm cleaning her Airbnb and there's a new family coming in every week, the chances that they're going to be crazy is like over a year, 100%, you're going to get at least one. Over a month, you might get a crazy, right? So there's that. There's the time frame. Lindsay, if I'm supposed to be there, she knows I generally show up around 8:39 and I show up at 8:26 or 9:07. She's probably okay. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, a bomb hit this place, because it's Lindsay. Her family's been there. I know what to expect. But with an Airbnb, you'd be shocked at what you get. Lindsay's probably not going to require that I wash her sheets every time I'm there, do her dishes. So foundationally, pick the clients that are fit, and not everyone's a fit. So just give yourself permission, Angie. If you're like, I hate these, you don't have to do them. Other thing with Airbnbs are, for most of the world, they're seasonal, which I really hate. So I can get over the headache part of it. The seasonal, for me personally, if I'm trying to build a business, that's a disqualifier. So like in Arizona, I've owned some Airbnb, own an Airbnb, have had a couple there. Depending on the part, it's super hot in the summer, right? So like you might crush it some months of the year and then not in the others. Well, as the Airbnbs go, we go, right? If I've got an Airbnb that gets, 26 bookings, or 26 nights booked with 14 different clients in January, you might make 5 grand off of that thing. But in June, it might be 4 bookings and you might make $1,200 or whatever the case may be. I don't love that, because you have to scale up and down when it comes to money, when it comes to employees. So with Airbnbs, obviously a little more headache, but I can get over that. The seasonality in most parts, there are some parts of the country where it's like, all year round, they rock. That's not so bad. And again, it's a matter of, there's some gray in that black and white. Like, would I never take short-term rentals? I don't know about that, but I just don't want to be more than like 20 or 30% of my revenue, because when the bottom falls out in the summer or the winter, whatever your low season is where you're at, if that's 100% of my revenue, that is a bear. But when it's 20% of my revenue, it's like, okay, I can deal with this. So just keep that in mind. And then the last piece with the Airbnb is, they're a lot more cyclical, right? When COVID hit, boy, those just took a beating. It doesn't have to be COVID. The economy goes down, people stop traveling for any reason. COVID was obviously extreme, but there's lots of reasons people just don't travel. Or maybe the government, the law changes, and all of a sudden they're not as probably, who knows? They're just a little more finicky and less. So I'm not saying that would stop me from doing Airbnbs, but again, if it's 20 or 30% of my revenue, I feel a little better if something funky goes on than if they're 100% of my revenue. So Angie, if they're really going to drive you nuts, feel free to just get clients that are better fit. And for those of you that do like Airbnbs, or screaming at your podcast, your phone, like they're the best, they can be great. I just want to let you know those are kind of yellow flags. And the cool thing is, some of you are going to go, I don't mind that. I love that, because everyone's on vacation. Great. Then Airbnbs can be fantastic. I just want to give you guys a good picture of what's good. And again, pick what you like. So part of it is, if I just don't like this person and we constantly spend time together, I'm like, that keeps me up at night. Well, the simple answer, stop spending time with that person. So Airbnbs could be that person. Did that make sense, Lindsay? Or you have any questions or anything to add?
No, I think that was perfect. All right, on to our last question, which actually comes from chat. And I don't know if it's keeping Summer up at night, but Summer wanted to say, her question was, I asked her to give me more info. So let me go with the original question. How do you recommend paying your cleaners, based on percentage, by the hour, or performance pay?
Ooh, really good question.
Yeah.
So when we coach our clients, we've got a pretty specific way that we coach people to do that we know works 100% of the time. That said, some of the things we coach are kind of like, this is the right way, like payroll. I can definitively tell you, it's not like if there's someone else going, do the payroll in house, you'll save too. They're wrong. Just pure, just flat out wrong. Don't do that. Pay someone to do payroll. It's the right answer. When it comes to how you pay your people, I'm going to give you some coaching, but I want to acknowledge there are multiple ways to skin this cat. Like you can do it other ways, and this isn't the right answer. It's an answer that I know will be effective for you, but there are other ways to do it that can work as well. Because again, same thing, they each have their strengths and weaknesses. And I can give you, after 30 years in business and 10 years in the specific business coaching, I've got quite a bit of experience. And I always, when I can, like to give you some, here's how I do it. Here's what I've seen. Here's what I see to work, and then give you enough information to make a good decision. So when it comes to flat rate, hey, go do that house and I'll give you $100 versus $20 an hour, whatever the case may be. There's some upsides and some downsides. I don't like giving if you do give a percentage, don't advertise it. So let's say I'm giving half and the job's $200. I'm not going to tell Lindsay, hey, the job's $200. I'm going to give you 50%. I'm going to tell my cleaner, Lindsay, hey, this job pays $100. And the reason I do that is if and when I feel like I need to change what I charge them, I can move the price up from the client to 100 to 250. I'm not obligated. I still have the option to go, this job no longer pays 100, it now pays 125. Or I could do nothing. I could just have a little extra margin. So if I tell the people it's a percentage, I'm kind of stuck with that percentage. And if I raise prices, as opposed to getting all the benefit, I only get half of it. And if I've underpriced it, I get almost I still get a lot of the negative. So if I'm going to do based on performance, I'm going to do a flat rate, not a percentage. The upside to that is you can lock your cost of goods pretty good. If you want a 45% cost of goods sold like we coach, you can just, again, don't tell the cleaner this, just say, whatever I get, I pay 45% of that. That's the pay. Super easy. And you're pretty confident, like, that's my pay. You don't have to worry about, oh, Lindsay takes a long time, but Jackson's really quick, or whatever the case may be. So that's the good side. The downside is because we're not perfect at guessing how long stuff takes, we're going to do some that people love doing. It's $100 and it only takes them like 20 minutes. They love it. Everybody wants that account. Great. We're also going to do some stuff where we misbid it and it's $100 and it takes them 6 hours, or 4 hours times two people each get half, and they do not like it. And the problem is they don't typically come to us and be like, Mike, thank you. This one is such a good job. I get paid so well. I know you don't have to pay me this much. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. 100% of the time when you bid it wrong, they will come to you and be like, this job sucks. I don't want that one. Give me the good one. So those are kind of the big risks. Also, when people are there hourly, they tend to just generally do a better job. But if you're like, you get the same $100, whether you do a 10 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, you want the 10 out of 10, but a lot of times you're going to get a 7. So I'm not saying it's unfixable. It's just something you have to keep in mind. So last thing, you're like, based on performance or something, we kind of do a hybrid of an hourly pay with a performance bonus. And I won't get into that whole complexity now because I don't think we have the time, but I would coach you just pay by the hour, make it competitive, a little better than average, and allow the people that really perform at a high level to make a little more than that. So did I answer the question, Lindsay, or did I miss? Because I saw you kind of chatting back and forth with her. I don't know if I missed anything based on your chat that I'm not privy to.
I think you're good, Mike. Yeah, that was a really good dive into that. Perfect.
Cool. I feel like we're 20 minutes in. Anything you want to say, or you feel like we've given the people what they want?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Cool. Cleaning Nation. Let me encourage you. As much as I love when people come to us like, I'm crushing it and I want to crush it more, those are fun. But we get a lot of you guys that are letting your business keep you up at night. And it could be because of the money or the lack thereof. It could be because of the work. You don't have the impact you want. Your employees are treating you bad. Your customers are treating you bad. I want to encourage you. You do not have to live that way, right? The systems and processes and the decisions you've made up until now have created this. If you want something different, you need different systems and different support and different decisions than you made before. So do something different. First and foremost, we do this all the time. I promise you, I give you my word. If you do stuff different, you can get a different result. You can have some hope. Reach out to a coach, whether it's us or somebody else. Reach out, get some help, get some systems and processes. You don't have to live this way. Do something different. Thanks, Glee Nation. Talk soon. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it, and we sure appreciate your time and attention.